How you doing? Welcome back. So I got a bright idea a couple of months ago to buy a locomotive bell off of eBay, and I thought that I might mount the bell on my truck someplace. That was kind of the idea. I pretty much got the response back that no, it can't be done, or there's not enough room, various things. So I ordered a bell, or I didn't order it, I bought a bell off of eBay. I even found the actuating valve to turn the bell on and off that's actually used in a locomotive, and I tackled the project. And let me show you how it turned out. So the truck is a 2006 one-ton Dodge Cummins. It's got the Cummins diesel engine in it. And originally what I thought I might do, I had a couple places that I was thinking about putting the bell. Most of the room that I've got available is underneath the back of the bed here, so I thought maybe like behind the quarter panel on one side or the other, maybe in the middle if I could get around the axle and the drive shaft. But most likely, which is where it ended up, was in this fender well. I wanted it tucked up in the fender well where it couldn't really be seen. Ran into a couple of issues. This bell, and I'll throw in some pictures that I took of the bell when I got it, after I cleaned it up, and then when I repainted it. On the top of the bell, of course this is the flange here, on the top there's they call it a water separator. It's just a ball that sits on top, and on top of that is the nipple where the air line comes in. And because of that, the bell ended up hanging down, oh, I don't know, probably 4 inches or so, not including the clapper, and that exposed it to being able to be seen from outside. I really didn't want that, but that was unfortunately as tight as I could get it up inside the fender well. As far as the air tank and compressor, let me walk you around the other side and I'll show you what that setup looks like. So on the driver's side, down under the let's be the driver's side door, let me turn the thing up so I can see what I'm pointing the camera at. You can see a little Viair air compressor. The braided line goes into, I think it's a 2 or 2.5 gallon air tank. I put an air chuck on the back, which is back over here. That's for airing up tires and stuff like that. That was why that was originally put in, was for if you go back through the videos, an Outer Banks trip where I drove on the beach a little bit and I could air my own tires up. Up there on top, the gray thing, that is the gray little rectangular box. That's the pressure switch. I think it shuts off at 150 psi. It kicks back on, I think, at 125 psi, I think. And I had a plug. I ended up putting the 1/2 inch 90-degree nipple there for the air line, and then I got a shut off because I think the actuating valve for the bell leaks a little bit, so I can shut that line off and keep air in the air tank in case I want to use it for airing up tires or something like that. So on the passenger side here, I have 2 blanks in the dash. You can see the one over here, which would be the dial 4-wheel drive switch that I don't have. I've got a manual 4-wheel drive gear shift. And this was the blank for, I think it was supposed to be for a key actuated for the airbags. Turn the passenger side airbag on and off. That's a function or a feature that I didn't get on this truck. So I took the blank out, and there was a box like what's on the driver's side there that came in this blank. It's kind of like a storage. It really wasn't useful for anything. And it was attached with 3 basic screws. 2 screws on this side, 1 on this side. And when I took that out, I wanted a piece of sheet metal for the actuator to sit inside, and then it attached with two large bolts there. But I wanted that to attach to the existing screws that held the blank in. So I'll throw in some more still photographs of the first rendition of this, which didn't turn out so great. I tried welding the tabs on for the 3 screws there, but the welding discolored the front, and I burned a hole through the one side, so I had to try to fill the hole back in, and my welding skills are still kind of limited. And I mean, I could have ground it back out and made it look reasonable, but you definitely would have seen where it was tack welded on. And it just didn't really, it turned out poorly. Bending the tabs, I did them just bending the tabs with needle nose pliers and a pair of channel locks. And it didn't really, I thought I could do better. It didn't look real good. So this particular version, I ended up making my own little kind of a press brake. I took 2 pieces of steel, clamped them together, and then I cut out the tabs. I measured everything, cut out the tabs, measured how long the tabs had to be bent to catch the screw points, and then I put them in that little brake, and I bent them with a pair of pliers and kind of squared them up with a hammer just to make them look a little bit cleaner. And I used JB Weld and glued basically the kind of an epoxy glue on the back of this sheet metal, and it turned out pretty good. It overall looked alright. Painted it black with some Rust-Oleum, and I was in a hurry to get things done, so I went ahead and installed this before the paint had properly set up, so you can kind of see when I ran these screws in. I didn't have quite enough room, you know, the width of this versus the width of what the screws wanted, so it kind of pulled the one side back here and kind of pulled a little bit of the paint off, but it turned out okay. The two 1/2-inch air lines, they come up. I had to replace there's a rubber boot on the top of the shift tower. There's the leather boot, there's a big rubber boot, and then there's a smaller rubber seal, I guess, basically, on top of the shift tower that is prone to failure on the Dodges. So I had to replace that anyway, so all this console work came apart. Once that shift boot was replaced, what I ended up doing, there's a square hole in the floor that goes from inside the truck basically on top of the bell housing for the transmission, and I just ran the air lines up. Now, it may eventually be an issue with chafing because the air lines aren't really picked up off of the transmission there, but this truck doesn't really get run all that much, so I don't expect it to be a big issue. Heat wise, the air lines are good to, like, I think they said like 15 or 16, 1800 degrees or something like that, so I don't think it'll ever get hot enough to damage the air lines in a fashion that'll make them prone to failure. So I just ran the air lines. The 2 lines come in, they come up through the square, the bigger rubber boot that's under this. I just poked a little hole in the back. The air lines come in through that, they turn and then come up in this corner here, basically right up into the bottom, and they come right up into the back of the actuator here. And for whatever reason, this particular actuator is backwards. When I bought it off of eBay, the shipping address, it came from someplace in Korea, I think. Korea or Vietnam. I want to say Korea. So I don't know if that has something to do with, it's made by the Salem and Graham, or is it Graham White, I think it is, Salem, Virginia. There's a company that makes these. So it's an American made product. I don't know why it's backwards. Usually push it in is off, pull it out is on, but this one, pull it out is off and push it in is on. I don't know why that is. I've had it apart. I replaced the O-rings in it, tried to rebuild it. Didn't really pay attention when I had it apart if it was something that I could have switched, but it's labeled just as it is now, pulled out. It's labeled for this to be the off position, and the inline comes in on this side, the outline goes on that side. So they have to cross. I didn't really want it that way, but that's just how it turned out. But it should still have air in it. Let's see. Yep, still has air in it. I got another video I took with my cell phone of going down the road. I found a spot that was out away from residential areas, and it'll ring under the volume of air that I have in that tank. This will ring constantly for just under 5 minutes, give or take, before the air compressor has to kick on and start to recharge the air reservoir. It does get to a point where there's not enough pressure in the tank to actuate the bell, so you basically just shut it off. It's not like I need to ring the bell going down the road that frequently, so that's the build turned out. It works pretty good. It's not very useful, but still pretty cool. So there you have it. Can you put a locomotive bell on a pickup? Yes, you can. It does work, it does fit. Now this is a full-size truck, so there's a little bit more room to play with than you have on, say, like a compact or a mid-size truck or something. But it is possible. It can be done. That's proof in the pudding. So thanks for watching. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. That helps out a lot. And we will see you all on the next video. Till then, take care.